Hey everybody, this is KennedyHawk from the Marvel Champions Monthly Fan Podcast. We're going to continue our hero card combo primers, this time with Spider-Man from the core set. So after this, we'll have one core set hero left to go through. So Spider-Man Peter Parker generates a resource on this side, 10 hit points. Whenever the villain initiates an attack against you, you'll draw a card. So he has to be the initial target of that attack to draw this card. Lots of cool cards here. He's got Backflip, which lets him avoid all damage. Spider Senses, which lets him cancel an encounter card drawn by anyone, while the when revealed effects of a counter card, treachery card. 3 copies of Swinging Web Kick, which deals 8 damage to an enemy. 2 copies of Spider Tracer, so you want to be killing minions, because you need minions out for Spider-Man to do his thwarting. Web Shooters is a hero resource with uses Webbed Up, a cool way to add Stunned to your deck. Aunt May, really efficient healing. And Black Cat. A lot of our combos are going to revolve around some of these cards, so I'll point them out as we go through them. Peter's got a pretty solid stat line. We just did the She-Hulk video. This is kind of the inverse of She-Hulk. Still 1 thwart. Instead of 3 attack, he's got 2 attack, but he's got 3 defense. So a very balanced stat line still. Really good for that defending and attacking aspect. So I don't think I picked Morale Boost, but based on my last video, you should consider Morale Boost with Spider-Man. So we will go in the same order. We're going to do Justice first. So again, I have great responsibility to go with Peter. And that's because you have this awesome Aunt May healing card. So if you're in hero form and you can prevent exactly 4 threat when you're at full health, next turn you can just flip and heal it. So that 4 damage doesn't matter to you at all, and you can be an awesome, efficient source of healing, right? 4 Justice costs 2 to remove 4. This is going to cost you 1 and a really efficient way to heal. So, great responsibility. Based on the art, you know it should work with Spider-Man. It does. Oh, other thing about this, it has a mental resource. Not a lot of heroes care or want mental resources, but one card in Spider-Man's kit does. Black Cat. After you play Black Cat, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Add each card with the printed mental resource discarded this way to your hand. And that can be really powerful. You play her, she could refill your entire hand with mental resources, which means she was basically free, which is awesome. As I mentioned, Spider-Man has 1 thwart. I include Heroic Intuition in my Justice decks because the 2 attack isn't so bad that I feel bad thwarting instead of attacking. And 2 thwart is pretty solid. You need some capability to remove threat, and Spider Tracers is not the best way to do that because you don't always see minions in every scenario. Finally, I put Under Surveillance in here. Spider-Man is one of those heroes that doesn't have to flip a ton to be very efficient. He can stay in hero form for a long time with 3 defense. But because of that, you don't have a lot of thwarting capability. So just plopping in Under Surveillance on Rhino's scheme. Let's say you can cancel all of his advances. That means if you can sit in hero form, he's gaining 1 threat a turn. That gives you 11 turns to defeat Rhino if you play Under Surveillance. 7 turns if you don't. So it gives you a lot more time to stay in hero form before you have to either flip and heal or find some other way to remove threat. Moving on to protection. Indomitable. Obviously, Spider-Man has an amazing defensive stat. So if you can defend and then ready, that is a really powerful thing to do, especially for Spider-Man, especially in multiplayer, because then you can defend for multiple people or you can defend multiple attacks, which you might do if you play Get Behind Me. So this is another treachery card cancel. So you're looking for a treachery card, you cancel the when revealed effects, the villain attacks you instead. So Enhanced Spider Senses just cancels the effects. This one, the villain has to attack you, but by attacking you, you're going to draw a card. You might know you have Backflip in hand, so you can just negate the attack, then it just becomes a negate. You might be able to defend twice with Indomitable, so maybe you're still going to negate the damage. Seems pretty good. Again, mental resource. Normally I don't look for those mental resources, but I do when playing Spider-Man. Energy Barrier, just standard really good card for protection. If you plan on defending a lot, Energy Barrier can be a good way to slowly push damage onto the enemy, and I think it works really great in Spider-Man's set. Spider-Man does have 2 tech upgrades, so if you're paired up with Iron Man, this is just a 3rd tech upgrade that Iron Man can use Stark Tower to return to your hand. Inspired Black Cat was the first combo I played in Marvel Champions, and I love it so much. So Black Cat doesn't have consequential damage for attacking, so she can kill Ultron drones left and right, until you hit Ultron Phase 3 and they all have 2 health. Well, an Inspired Black Cat can still take care of those guys, and it just makes her amazing. Lead from the front. This is one that I overlooked a long time as Spider-Man, but this can be a really good card for Spider-Man as well. Say you have yourself and Black Cat on the board, you play Lead from the front with the power of leadership. Now you can thwart for 2, Black Cat can hit for 2. If she's inspired, she can hit for 3, or you can hit for 6 combined. That's a really efficient card for just 2 resources. The more allies you have, obviously, the better, but pretty good with just Spider-Man and Black Cat, the hero for hire. Make the Call, again, mental resource. This should really be in almost every leadership deck. I have a couple that I don't run it in, but maybe that's because I'm crazy. Make the Call is just really great. One of my favorite combos is when I remember to do this forced response with Black Cat, I discard Make the Call and Maria Hill, or discard Make the Call and some other ally, right, that's not a mental resource. Well, now you've gained this mental resource to your hand, and you have an ally target in your discard pile to play Make the Call. It can be a really powerful, fun combo. All right, Battle Fury. So obviously Indomitable is a great way to ready with Spider-Man. You need ways to ready. So you're going to want to find ways to do so. If you're running an aggression deck, you probably have some hero attack events that aren't swinging web kick. You don't necessarily want to hit a Hydra Bomber for 8. But with a Relentless Assault, that's not so bad. And if you get to ready at the end of that Relentless Assault, that's even better. So since you're going to be defending a lot, because Spider-Man's defense is so good, anything that can ready him, really solid card. Hey, there's that Relentless Assault I was talking about. So like I said, Spider-Man doesn't have a ton of ways for dealing with small enemies. He's got his 2 attack, but if you're defending, you're losing that. He's got his 8 damage attack, and then he's got Black Cat, so she can ping one thing a turn, but if Ultron's pooping out 3 drones a turn, you're going to have some trouble. But Relentless Assault can clear that up for you. And finally, I put Hall of Heroes for the same reason. This is after you defeat a minion, place a glory counter here, so if you have Black Cat out, you can be pinging minions left and right. Spider-Man can be doing the same thing, and I think that that's a really great way to get card draw and give yourself a reason to flip to Alter Ego form, because Peter can spend a resource to create things in Alter Ego form, but he doesn't have a huge, compelling reason to go there unless he needs to heal with Aunt May. Alright, moving on to basic cards. I put Lockjaw in here. Lockjaw is a card that a lot of people overlooked when he first came out, but for characters that need thwarting, like Spider-Man and She-Hulk, if you can have this 2 thwart on a stick in your discard pile that can come out whenever you need it, that becomes really, really, really powerful. And I highly recommend trying Lockjaw out. Next is First Aid. Again, you're going to want to stay in hero form as long as you can. This isn't as efficient as Aunt May, but if you're building a deck like a protection deck that says I never want to flip, First Aid might be a card you want to consider for those big attacks when some damage does eke through past his defense. And Quinn Carrier. Again, anything that can artificially increase your hand size. Since you're sitting in hero form so long, you're getting less cards. Yeah, you're defending, so hopefully you're getting back up to a normal 6-card hand size. Quinn Carrier just makes that even better. Quinn Carrier is really useful in every Avengers deck, but I think in Spider-Man in particular, it can be really useful. He doesn't have a super expensive deck, but sometimes he struggles getting these webbed ups out. If you have a Quinn Carrier, that becomes no problem. So, highly recommended. So these are the combos for Spider-Man that I like to build around. Next time you're building a Spider-Man deck, if you want to try something different, try building a cool Black Cat pumping deck, or try building, a Justice Great Responsibility deck, and you might find a new angle to Spider-Man that you haven't seen before. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check back next week for another hero card combo primer, whatever that tongue twister is.